They laughed when I walked out of my parents' house on Christmas morning. They had no idea I'd just killed my sister's dream with a 3-minute phone call. No yelling, no drama, no broken plates, just me, a guest bedroom, and one email that erased everything she'd been bragging about for months. Watch this till the end before you judge me. Then you tell me, was I petty? Or was this the only way to finally make them feel what I'd been feeling for years? My name is Danielle. I'm 34 years old. And this is how I turned their betrayal into my blueprint for power. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you're listening from in the comments. It was Christmas morning in Chattanooga. Cold enough that you could see your breath if you stepped out onto the porch, but inside the house everything looked like a Hallmark postcard. Twinkling lights wrapped around the staircase, stockings lined up over the fireplace. Mine the smallest, barely hanging on by a thumbtack. Cinnamon rolls baking in the oven, and my mother's fake cheer spread across every room like too much perfume. The tree was overflowing, so full the lowest branches hung heavy, brushing against the tops of the boxes. Red and gold wrapping paper everywhere, little mountains of gifts tucked under the lowest branches. My sister Paige sat cross-legged in the center of it all like a pageant queen, her blonde curls tucked into a velvet headband, her red flannel pajamas matched to her daughter's. She was glowing, certain, easy, like a person who had never had to wonder if she belonged in a room. Everyone was watching her, phones out, ready to catch the big reactions. Dad, open that one, Paige. Go on, that's from us. His voice was bright, proud, the way it used to sound when he'd cheer from the bleachers at her cheer competitions. Paige. Ooh, I think I know what it is. She dragged the moment out half a beat longer, playing to her audience. She tore through the paper like a 5-year-old. Shreds of red foil fluttered to the carpet. Screamed when she saw the box. A designer purse. Something from Coach, I think. She flipped it around for the cameras like she was on QVC, turning it this way and that, letting the logo flash in the light. Her husband clapped. My mom wiped a tear. Then came a new iPhone. The white box drew its own little gasp from the room. Then a gold necklace. She held it up by the chain, letting the pendant spin. Then some spa gift certificates, perfume, cash tucked into envelopes with her name written in Mom's handwriting. The stack in her lap grew higher, a small tower of proof. She squealed after every gift. Y'all seriously know me so well I can't take it. Her voice almost shook with pure satisfaction. I sat on the couch, right at the edge cushion where the seam dipped, the same spot I always seemed to end up in this house, hands folded in my lap. Watching, smiling, politely. I hit my cues, laughed when they laughed, like I wasn't even part of the scene, like I'd been given a ticket to observe someone else's family Christmas. My name never got called. Not once. Not by accident. Not as a slip of the tongue. No gift handed to me. No, this one's for Danielle moment. Not even a pity card. No scented candle. No novelty socks. No last-minute something grabbed at the checkout line. I glanced at the tree again, wondering if maybe something was hiding behind the skirt. Maybe a small box got kicked back, lost in the shadows. But no, there was nothing. Just the metal stand, the cord for the lights, and a dust bunny that had somehow survived Mom's pre-holiday cleaning spree. Mom. Oh, honey, we'll get you something later, all right? She tossed the line over her shoulder, half distracted, like she was asking if anyone wanted more coffee. She said it like it was no big deal, like forgetting one daughter completely on Christmas morning could be swept away with a trip to Target on December 26th, like you could make up for absence with a clearance candle and you know how crazy it gets this time of year apology. Someone laughed. A short, awkward burst that didn't know where to land. I think it was my brother-in-law. His eyes shot to Paige, then to me, then back again, like he was checking which expression he was supposed to copy. I caught Paige looking down at her phone, not even glancing in my direction. Her thumb moved fast across the screen, already filming a boomerang of the purse strap swinging from her wrist. I nodded once. A small, exact motion. Enough to say, I heard you, also enough to close the door on it. Me. No worries, I'm good. My voice came out even, almost light, because I was. Maybe not good in the way they meant, but steady. I didn't need their gifts. Not when I already had the one thing Paige needed more than anything that year. The one thing she couldn't put on a registry or add to a wish list. Something she'd been bragging about since August, dropping it into conversations like an expensive perfume, an opportunity she only got because of me, because my name had weight in a room she couldn't enter alone. And unlike their store-bought gifts, mine couldn't be returned. No store credit, no exchange. It could only be taken back by the same hand that had offered it. The morning dragged on. We had brunch. Everyone shifted from the tree to the kitchen in one big practiced migration. French toast casserole, eggs, orange juice with a splash of champagne. The plates clinked, forks scraped. Someone turned on soft Christmas music in the background. I helped clear the dishes, same as always. Collecting plates, stacking them at the sink, rinsing off syrup and crumbs while conversation floated around me. No one noticed how quiet I'd gotten, how still I was. Normally, I fill silence, ask follow-up questions, offer stories. But that morning, I let the quiet live. They thought I was pouting. They'd seen this movie in their heads before. Jealous older sister, left out again, sulking in the corner. They didn't realize I was waiting. Not for a gift, not for a sorry. I was waiting for a window, a moment when the noise around me dipped, and I could do what I'd already decided I was going to do. I excused myself after brunch, said I needed a minute to check something for work. I kept my tone casual, like it was an annoying email I just had to knock out. Walked down the hallway into the guest bedroom, shut the door behind me. The latch clicked soft, but it sounded like a line being drawn. My phone was already in my hand. I'd been aware of it all morning, a small rectangle of possibility against my palm. The number already pulled up. I'd tapped it in while the casserole was still in the oven, then tucked the phone face down on the counter. A man answered. Calm voice. Kind. I could picture him at a desk somewhere, headset on, cursor blinking on a screen full of names. I cleared my throat, rolled my shoulders back once, grounding myself. Me. Hi, yes. This is Danielle Langston. I'd like to go ahead and cancel the request we submitted last month. Regarding the mentorship transfer? I heard how professional I sounded, like I was sitting in an office, not in my parents' guest room in fleece pajama pants. There was a pause. I pictured him glancing at a second monitor, scrolling until my name came up. Voice. Yes, ma'am. Let me just confirm. This is the Advanced Media Development Program through the LM Fellowship? I could hear faint typing in the background. Me. That's the one. My fingers tightened slightly around the phone as I said it. Voice. Understood. I'll remove her name from the approval list and mark it as rescinded. The word had a clean edge to it. Final. Me. Thank you. I appreciate it. Simple, polite. A closing line to a door I was gently, firmly shutting. That was it. 3 minutes. Maybe less. A tiny sliver of time in the middle of a long, over-decorated day. No rage, no shouting, no revenge monologue, no speech about fairness or loyalty or being taken for granted. Just silence. In the room. In my chest. By 4:17 p.m., Paige's phone buzzed across the living room table. I remember the time because I checked the oven clock as I walked back through the kitchen. She was still grinning from ear to ear, showing off her necklace to Dad. turning her chin from side to side, asking, "Is it too much?" when she already knew it wasn't. The phone buzzed again. A short, insistent rattle against the wood. I watched her pick it up. Her fingers moved automatically, unlocking the screen in one swipe. Watched the smile drop, like someone hit a light switch on the inside of her face. She blinked at the screen, read it again. Her eyes moved fast, then slower, like she was trying to make the words rearrange themselves. Color drained from her, face like water soaking into the carpet. Page. What? No, that's not right. Her voice came out thin, frayed at the edges. She sat up straighter, held the phone closer, as if physical distance was the problem. Tapped the screen, opened the email again, checked the sender, the subject line, the date stamp. Called someone, but it went straight to voicemail. Her own professional greeting floated faintly out of the speaker before she stabbed the end button. Page. No. No. That program was confirmed. I was supposed to be in New York in February. She clung to the words like they were a life raft. Her voice cracked on New York. The city wasn't just a place to her. It was a version of herself she'd already been wearing in her head for months. I reached for my coffee, blew gently across the top, like nothing had happened. Like this was any other afternoon lull. The mug was warm in my hands. The liquid inside cooled just enough to drink without thinking. Mom turned around. She'd been at the sink, but bad news has its own gravity. Mom. What's wrong, sweetie? Her eyebrows knit together, but there was a tightness around her mouth. Page. The Lamb Fellowship just pulled my name. It says my sponsor rescinded the application. What does that even mean? She stared at the phone as she said it, like the screen might answer back. I didn't look up, just sipped my coffee slowly. Let the taste settle on my tongue. Let the word sponsor hang in the air between us, heavy and unspoken. Dad frowned. His jaw shifted, muscles working as he did the math. Dad. Wait. Wasn't that thing Danielle got you into? He turned toward me when he said my name, really seeing me for the first time that day. My sister whipped her head toward me. Her curls swung, the necklace caught the light, the gold suddenly looking cheap. Page. Danielle, did you hear anything? Did they say something to you? You were the one who... She almost stood up, halfway out of her seat, reaching toward me with the question. Me. Nope. Haven't heard a thing. I placed my mug gently back on the coaster, kept my tone casual, almost bored. She blinked at me. Once. Then again. Then looked back down at her phone like it had personally betrayed her. The room filled with this weird, dense quiet. Conversation, clinking dishes, background music. All of it dropped a level, like everyone was trying to think of the right thing to say, but no one could. I smiled, just a little. So small you might have missed it if you weren't looking right at me. It wasn't joy, it was recognition. Because that wasn't a gift from a store. No box, no receipt. That was access. That was reputation. That was years of me building bridges, contacts, favors. She got in because I vouched for her. Because I put my name on her potential. Because when they asked, "Is she someone you'd stake your reputation on?" I said yes, and meant it at the time. And just as quietly, I took it back, pulled my name out of a future she'd assumed was guaranteed. They all thought I was the empty one that morning, the one with nothing under the tree. But they were wrong. They never saw what I carried, or how fast I could let it go. How easily I could decide that, from that day on, my generosity would finally start with me. Later that night, while everyone sat watching a Hallmark movie they'd all seen before, I quietly folded laundry in the guest room. The TV in the living room was turned up just loud enough that I could hear the same predictable dialogue through the thin wall. Soft Christmas music under it, canned laughter, the familiar rhythm of conflict and happy ending. Someone rustled a candy wrapper. Someone laughed at a joke we all knew was coming. I sat on the edge of the guest bed with a warm pile of clothes in front of me. The comforter was a faded floral print from my high school years, still tucked tight at the corners. A small lamp glowed on the nightstand, casting a yellow circle of light over stacks of socks and t-shirts. I folded each piece slowly, letting my hands move on autopilot while my mind replayed the day. I could hear Paige pacing down the hallway on her phone. Her footsteps moved back and forth, heel to toe, the floorboards creaking in the same spots they always had. She stopped near the bathroom, turned, came back past the guest room door, then looped again. Paige. I don't understand. My name was confirmed. They told me in October. I already paid for the travel. Her voice was sharper now, all the sugar stripped out. She sounded desperate, panicked, and beneath it all, betrayed. Like someone had broken a promise she thought the world owed her. She was starting to realize this wasn't just a glitch, not a typo, not something a quick email could fix. Another pause. A muffled response from the other end that I couldn't make out. Paige. No, I don't know what happened. My sister was my sponsor, but she hasn't said anything to me. Can you? Is there any way to undo it? She dragged out the word undo, like there should be a button for it, like this was a hairstyle or a caption she could just backspace. Her husband stood in the doorway, arms crossed, unsure whether to comfort her or get involved. He leaned against the frame, jaw tight, watching her pace. When I passed by him with the laundry basket, he didn't look at me, didn't say my name, didn't move. He didn't need to. The air around him already said enough. They were starting to piece it together. I could feel it in the way the house shifted. Conversations dipped when I stepped into a room. Eyes flicked toward me, then away. That the one thing she couldn't buy, couldn't wrap in a box or wear around her wrist, was something only I had given her. Something that lived on paper and in inboxes, not under the tree. And I'd taken it back. Clean, quiet, final. But here's the thing. This didn't start at Christmas. It started 3 years ago, when I moved back to Chattanooga after working in Chicago. After 6 years of winters that cut through your coat and offices that never really slept, I had spent those years building my resume in media consulting. Late nights refining decks. Early flights with my laptop open on the tray table. No scandals, no shortcuts. Just results. Projects delivered. Clients who asked for me again. Colleagues who knew I would follow through. Paige was the one with the flashy lifestyle, the Pinterest-perfect house, the themed throw pillows, the social media following that clapped for every new hair color and kitchen renovation. She made her life look like a magazine spread. I made mine work like a system. And yet, somehow, she always needed me. She'd text when she got emails she didn't understand. Call when she had to talk to industry people and didn't want to sound inexperienced. When she decided she wanted to rebrand herself as a speaker/coach/creative entrepreneur, she came to me. Eyes bright, voice breezy. Paige, you already know people in that space, right? Could you maybe introduce me to someone? She said it like it was small, like she was asking for sugar from a neighbor. I did. I opened my laptop, pulled up names. I helped her build a pitch deck, organized her ideas into slides, turned rambling paragraphs into clear points. I cleaned up her digital profile, rewrote her bio so it made sense to more than just her followers. I spent nights reviewing her presentation while she half-listened on her AirPods, watching Real Housewives in the background. I would pause the video to give feedback. She would nod without looking away from the TV. She got invited to panels, collaborations, mentorship lists. Suddenly, she was in demand. Her followers loved it. All because I opened doors. Because when someone asked me, "Know anyone new we should keep an eye on?" I thought of her first. And every time she got something, she made it look like it came from her. Her caption said things like, "Proof that hard work pays off." She thanked God, the universe, her supportive community. Never me. No thank you. No credit. She acted like my efforts were just a favor, a built-in service attached to the word sister, something I owed her for being good at things she didn't want to learn. And when I finally brought it up once, gently, over lunch, she blinked at me with that same tight smile she used with customer service when things didn't go her way. We were at a cafe downtown, small tables, plants in the windows. She ordered a salad and asked for 3 substitutions without looking up from her phone. I waited until the server left. Me. "Hey, I'm happy to help you. I just, sometimes it feels like you forget I'm part of this. Like maybe you could mention the work I'm doing too." She paused, fork hovering, then smiled like she'd caught something silly. "Paige. Oh, come on. You're always the serious one. You don't need the spotlight." She meant it as a brush-off disguised as a compliment, like she was reminding me of my assigned role. It hit me hard, because I wasn't asking for the spotlight. Just a sliver of acknowledgement, a line in the story. Instead, she walked away with everything: my connections, my time, my trust, packaged under her name, posted, framed, celebrated. She stole my story. Not literally, but the arc of it. The part where I gave and she grew, and we both knew it. I rewrote the ending. Not all at once, but the decision started right there. The Lamb Fellowship was a once-in-a-decade opportunity, not just for visibility, but for long-term mentorship, access, partnerships, a door that stayed open for years if you showed up. I had been part of it years ago, earned my way in, did the work, stayed late on group calls, asked questions, followed through. And when Paige asked if she could apply, I warned her. We were at my kitchen counter, application open on my laptop. Me. "This isn't a gift bag, it's not a vacation. If I vouch for you, you have to follow through." She nodded quickly, already picturing New York. Already picturing herself posting from hotel lobbies and conference rooms. She lied. Not in that moment. In the weeks that followed. Barely did the prep work. Showed up late to calls. Missed meetings with her assigned mentor because things were crazy at home. Posted about it like it was already locked in. "So blessed to be chosen," she wrote, before her final approval came in. And still, I said nothing. I swallowed my irritation. Told myself she might grow into it. Told myself this was me being patient. Until Christmas morning. Until I watched her open gift after gift, while my name never got called. Until I realized she'd taken everything I'd offered, and still couldn't spare me a single thing. Not even a $5 candle. That's when I knew. She didn't just forget me. She erased me. From the list. From the gratitude speech in her head. So I returned the favor. Quietly, cleanly. Now, as she spiraled in the hallway, I sat on the guest bed folding socks. Matching colors, rolling pairs, the hum of the washing machine downstairs blended with the faint movie credits. It was peaceful, precise. My hands moved in small, controlled motions while everything else felt like it was unraveling. Later, I walked into the kitchen to grab some water. The living room light flickered softly around the corner. Mom was sitting at the table, glasses perched on her nose, reading some catalog she probably wasn't going to order from. Her coffee sat next to her, half cold. "Mom, you okay, sweetheart?" She asked it like she always did. Automatic. A script. Me. "I'm good." It slid out easily. I'd said it my whole life. "I'm fine. I'm good. Don't worry." She didn't ask why I hadn't gotten anything. Didn't ask why Paige was unraveling in the next room. Didn't connect the two. That's the thing with my mother. She never acknowledged imbalance unless it was so loud it embarrassed her. Unless someone cried hard enough to make a scene. I let the silence sit between us for a beat too long, felt it stretch. Then I turned. Me. Hey, Mom. Do you ever wonder why Paige always gets so much? She looked up, surprised. Mom. What do you mean? Me. I mean, she got over 8 presents this morning. Jewelry, electronics. I didn't even get a card. I didn't raise my voice. I just laid the numbers out. Mom frowned, slowly set the catalog down. Mom. Well, she's got a family. It's different. There it was. Simple. Flat. I nodded, even though it wasn't. Me. So I don't count unless I have a husband and a kid? She hesitated. Mom, that's not what I meant. I smiled. Me. It kind of is. Her eyes shifted, looking for a way out. Mom, we'll get you something later, we always do. We. Always. 2 words that felt like they came from another universe. Me. You don't. But that's okay. I meant it in a new way. Not, it doesn't hurt. More like, I see it now. That silence? That was the last gift I ever gave them. The last time I let them believe I was fine. Because after that, I stopped trying. Stopped explaining myself. Stopped editing my reactions so they'd be easier to hold. Stopped chasing approval they only handed out in exchange for spectacle. For weddings, baby announcements, big public moments. I'd been invisible to them for years. The helper, the extra, the one they assumed would understand. Now, they would feel it. Not through a speech, through absence. The next morning, I packed my things before sunrise. The house was dark. The Christmas lights were off. I moved quietly, folding my clothes, zipping my bag. Didn't wait for anyone to wake up. Didn't stand in a doorway hoping for a hug. I walked into the kitchen and grabbed a magnet off the fridge. Left a note that said, "Thanks for everything. Merry Christmas." Short, polite, closed. Paige called me 3 times that day. My phone lit up while I was already miles away. I watched it buzz on the passenger seat. She left 2 voicemails. Paige. Danielle, can you please call me back? I don't know what happened, but I'm freaking out. I really needed that program. Just, let's talk, okay? Her voice shook on the word needed. She sounded small, soft. It didn't move me, because she didn't just lose a program. She lost me, and when you erase someone long enough, eventually, they disappear. The first time Paige showed up at my apartment unannounced, it was raining. Cold January rain that soaked through your shoes and made everything smell like wet pavement and metal. I noticed the sound before I saw her, that steady hiss against the windows. The occasional car driving past, tires slicing through puddles, sending up little waves that slapped the curb. I hadn't given her my new address, hadn't sent a text with directions, hadn't posted a new place tour on social where she could screenshot the background and zoom in, which told me everything I needed to know about how badly she was scrambling. She had called Mom, or Dad, or someone who still believed that family emergency meant you were entitled to someone else's space. I opened the door and she stood there with mascara smudged under her eyes, hair pulled back, like she hadn't bothered to look in the mirror. Her coat was soaked through at the shoulders. Raindrops clung to the ends of her hair, sliding down in slow lines onto her collar. Paige, you didn't answer my calls. Her voice wasn't angry anymore. There was no edge. It was thin, threadbare, like she'd already cried herself out on the drive over. Me. I know. I didn't invite her in. Not at first. Just leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, barefoot on the cold tile. The air from the hallway spilled in around her, damp and sharp. She looked past me into the apartment like she expected to see boxes or proof I was temporary, Bare walls, half unpacked life, something to latch onto. What she got was a small lived-in space, books on the shelf, a plant I was actually keeping alive, a mug on the coffee table with a ring of tea drying on the rim. Paige. They said my sponsor withdrew. They won't even talk to me without that approval. You're the only one who had access. Her words came out fast, stacked on top of each other. Not a greeting. Not a, "How are you?" Straight to the problem. I waited. Let her say it. Let her hear herself say it. She swallowed. Her throat worked like she was trying to keep something down. Paige. Did you cancel it? There it was. The truth she'd been circling for weeks. The question in every voicemail. The thing she hadn't wanted to say out loud in front of Mom and Dad. I didn't raise my voice. Didn't flinch. Didn't apologize with my eyes the way I used to. Me. Yes. The word was small. Quiet. But it landed like a dropped glass. Her face crumpled in real time. You could see the disbelief fight with the understanding. Like something finally gave way inside her chest. Paige. Why would you do that to me? I laughed softly. Not because it was funny, because it was absurd. The way she framed it. Me. Do what to you? Stop helping? I tilted my head, studying her. The rain kept tapping on the stair rail behind her, steady and indifferent. She stepped forward, rain dripping from the hem of her coat onto my floor. Little dark circles formed on the tile between us. Paige. That program was my future. You ruined it. There it was again. The script. Someone else in control of her life. I tilted my head. Me. No, I didn't ruin you. I just stopped. Protecting you from consequences. I said it slowly. Let each word spread out and find its place in the air between us. She stared at me like she didn't recognize the language I was speaking, like she'd walked into the wrong movie. Because this was the first time I wasn't cushioning the fall. Wasn't racing ahead to soften the landing. Wasn't translating reality into something easier to swallow. Me. You forgot me on Christmas morning, Paige. Not accidentally. Casually. Like I didn't matter. The memory flashed up in my mind. Wrapping paper. Her squealing. My empty hands. She shook her head. Paige. That's not fair. It was just gifts. Me. Exactly. The word came out sharper than I expected. Because that was the point. If just gifts was all it was, then why was I the only one who could go without? I stepped back then, finally letting her inside. Moved aside just enough for her to cross the threshold. She hesitated for a second, then stepped in. Water from her boots squeaked against the tile. I closed the door. The rain disappeared into a muffled background noise, but the tension stayed. Thick. Close. We stood there in the narrow entryway. Two grown women in socks and wet shoes and old patterns. Me. You took my work, my connections, my credibility. And when it came time to acknowledge me, you couldn't even fake it. Her shoulders sagged. The bravado slipped. Paige. I didn't think it meant that much. That was the gaslighting, the minimization, the gentle way people try to tell you that the wound that's bleeding is not that deep. I nodded slowly. Me. Some betrayals don't leave bruises, just silence. The kind that sits next to you at holiday tables, the kind that smiles for family photos and goes home with you afterward. She sank onto the couch, elbows on her knees, head in her hands. The cushion sank under her weight, the springs creaking softly. Paige. Mom said you're being dramatic, that you always do this. There it was. The family script. The line they'd rehearsed without me. Me. They called me selfish right before they stole everything I earned. She looked up sharply. Paige. That's not true. Me. Isn't it? I didn't push. Just let the question sit between us. I walked to the bookshelf, pulled out a folder. A plain, overstuffed thing I'd kept for years without really knowing why. Set it on the coffee table between us. Inside were emails, confirmations, screenshots. My name on every recommendation, every introduction, the late-night drafts, the carefully worded endorsements, the receipts. Me. This was mine. You just stood in it. Her hands trembled as she flipped through the pages. Her eyes scanned the lines. Saw my name. Saw the dates. Page. You could put me back. Just call them, please. Her voice cracked on, please. It was the same tone she had used when we were kids, and she wanted me to cover. For her. I shook my head. Me. No. The words settled heavy in the room. No wiggle? No maybe later. Me. That favor is gone. So is my endorsement. I already informed them I won't sponsor anyone connected to my family again. Her breath hitched, like she'd just been told the ground had moved 3 inches to the left. Paige. You can't do that. Me. I already did. That was the irreversible part. Not the cancellation, the boundary. She cried then. Not pretty tears. Not the kind that look good in bathroom selfies. The kind that came from realizing the safety net was gone. From understanding that the person who always fixed it wasn't going to this time. Paige. You're punishing me. Me. I'm choosing myself. The words tasted strange and clean in my mouth. New. Like something I should have been saying years ago. She stood abruptly, knocking her knee against the table. The folder slid, papers shifting. Paige. You always think you're better than us. There it was. The accusation underneath everything. The idea that boundaries are arrogance. I met her eyes. Me. No. I just finally stopped shrinking so you could shine. For a second, neither of us looked away. We both saw it then. The years of me folding myself down so she could feel big. Silence filled the apartment. Thick. Final. She grabbed her coat, hands shaking, fumbled with the sleeves, almost tripping over her own boots. Paige. I hope you're happy. Me. I am. And I meant it. Not in a gloating way. In a grounded way. In a, I finally picked myself way. After she left, I sat on the floor for a long time, back against the couch. Folder still open on the table, not crying, just breathing. Listening to the rain pick back up outside, drumming against the windows. I thought about every Christmas, every birthday, every quiet moment where I'd accepted less to keep the peace. The jokes I let slide, the comments I swallowed, the times I said it's fine when it really wasn't. Peace is expensive when you're the one paying for it. When you're the only one handing over pieces of yourself to keep everyone else comfortable. Weeks later, my mother called. Her name lit up my phone on a Tuesday afternoon. I stared at the screen for a moment before I answered. Old reflexes tugging at me. Old guilt. Mom. Your sister's struggling. She didn't say hello first, just dropped the fact like a stone. Me. I know. I'd seen the vague posts, the quotes about disappointments becoming redirection, the sudden quiet on her feed. Mom. She says you ruined her. I closed my eyes. Let the accusation hang in the air between us. Me. No. I just stopped giving. I didn't explain. Didn't list examples. Didn't defend myself. Mom didn't respond. That silence was different. It wasn't dismissive. It wasn't the tight, irritated quiet she used when she thought I was overreacting. It was understanding. Or at least recognition. The sound of someone replaying old scenes in their head and seeing them differently. I moved forward after that. One small decision at a time. New city. New projects. I took a contract that scared me a little, signed a lease that had my name alone on it and didn't feel like a placeholder. People started asking for my help again, emails, referrals, DMs. And this time, I was careful who I said yes to. I drafted boundaries the same way I used to draft pitches: clear, direct, no fine print. I checked in with myself before I hit send. Does this cost me more than it gives back? Does this person see me, or do they just see what I can do for them? She smiled like I was the joke. For years, that was the role they cast me in: the serious one, the extra one, the one who doesn't need the spotlight. I made sure I was the punchline instead. Not because I lost, because I owned the story, because I walked away with my name, my work, my power intact. I stopped trying to sit at tables where my chair was always a courtesy, and started building rooms where my presence wasn't an afterthought. If this story struck a chord, hit like, subscribe, and tell me what you think in the comments.